Hey everyone, I'm Hannah and today we're going to work on some standing strengthening poses. So we're going to make sure that your hammock is about hip height or a little bit below hip height today. We won't be doing any inversions, so you can go a little bit higher if you want your feet or your body a little bit more elevated. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So we're going to start behind our hammock, bring our hands around the front, cut through the middle with our hands in a prayer, bring our hands onto the fabric and run it all the way down. So bring your hands around shoulder width apart. Bring your feet about hip width apart. Take a deep inhale, standing tall, lengthening the spine. And exhale, release it forward. Send your arms out in front of you. Create a little tabletop with your body, reaching your arms out. And we're just gonna release into this little stretch. You can add a little sway from side to side if that feels good for you. Just gonna warm up our shoulders. And if we have really weak hamstrings, this might even be working your hamstrings a little bit. You can add a little micro bend in your knees if you have some knee issues. A few more breaths here, maybe adding a little bit of a deeper sway from side to side. Trying to keep your chest in alignment as much as possible and trying not to slump your neck down. We want to keep it in a neutral along with our spine. A few deep breaths here. Inhale to one side, exhale to the other. Oh, inhale, exhale, and let's come back to the center. And slowly roll it all the way up, one vertebrae at a time, until your head is the last thing that comes up. Okay, we're going to keep our hands in that bind. You can bring your hands together if that works best for you, or you can keep them shoulder width apart, just depending on how you sort of like your wrap in this pose. Placing all of our weight into our right foot, bringing our knee up, flexing our left foot. And we can either create a figure four pose, so I'll show you from the front. So bringing your left ankle just above your right knee. Or another option is to add our eagle wrap. So wrapping that leg all the way around, and you can tuck the feet in behind you if that feels good for you. So whatever variation you choose, putting all your weight into your right foot, lifting up your left knee, and either placing it on top or wrapping it all the way around, standing tall, trying not to put too much weight into the hammock. It's just there as a little bit of a pose, a little bit of prop to help you and to help stabilize, but we're not trying to put too much weight into it. We want our body to do some work. Inhale, sitting tall. Exhale, release a little bit deeper. Holding here, staying strong, working on our balance. Inhale. Exhale, release a little bit deeper. Inhale. Exhale, release a little bit deeper. Oh, working on our balance. Inhale. Exhale, release a little bit deeper. Whew. 2 more breaths. Holding strong here. Inhale. Exhale, a little bit deeper. Last one. Inhale. Exhale, coming up to standing. Release that foot, keeping that left foot flexed, pushing it back out behind us and extending our arms forward. So we're coming into our warrior 3 pose. Toes are dialed down towards the ground, staying strong, hands tall and long here. Holding here, you can have a micro bend in that right knee if that's needed. Option to place the whole hammock in your right hand, release your left and grab a hold of your left ankle. So from here, depending where your balance is at, can release all the way forward, or you can even open out the hip and release it all the way up. That is a bit more of a balancing one. So trying it out, seeing where you're at. Holding, or you could just be holding in your warrior 3. 2 more breaths, staying strong wherever you are. Last one. And bending your front knee and coming back into our high lunge. So making sure that your right knee is over the ankle, staying really strong and tall here. And option to either push along the fabric, open it up behind you, pushing in, opening up the heart space, gazing towards the ceiling, or releasing all the way forward over that front knee, seeing which option your body needs today. A few more breaths here, staying strong. Rolling it back up, releasing down, and let's release our back knee to the earth, flipping that foot, and we're going to flow through our low lunge and our half split here. So lower lunge, making sure the knee is over the ankle, stretching out. Inhale, releasing our, straightening our right leg, pulling that, hinging that hip back, coming into a half split. So rolling through with your breath, seeing what your body needs, which pose you might need to hold a little bit more on, which pose you might need a little bit more time in. With your breath, few more breaths here. Inhale forward, exhale back. Inhale forward, exhale back. Last one. Inhale forward, flipping the back toes, coming back up into our high lunge, holding here, staying strong, maybe releasing it down just a little bit more. Inhale, exhale, stepping that back foot in just a couple of feet, hinging our hips, so both of our hips are in alignment facing forward. So coming into our triangle pose, both our legs are nice and straight. Hips are like train tracks, nice and forward. And inhale, exhale, release. Over the front leg, coming into our triangle pose. Really reaching with your hands, trying to keep a flat back, a neutral spine. Inhale and exhale, release. 2 more breaths here. See if you can check in with your body, feeling like you're pulling both your feet together. So there's definitely a lot of engagement in this pose as well. Inhale, slowly roll it all the way back up. Big step forward for feet to meet. And we can step back behind the hammock. You can pedal out your feet. Maybe you're feeling a little bit of a difference in one side than the other side of your body. Let's reset ourselves, check in with where your hands are at. Maybe you want to move it a little bit higher, a little bit lower. Get ourselves ready. Putting all of our weight into our left foot, right knee comes up and crosses over. So you can either come into that figure 4 pose again, so your right ankle is above your left knee, or wrapping all the way around into our eagle pose. So, option, bringing that knee up, coming to a figure 4, wrapping it all the way around, and releasing it down. Inhale, exhale down. So trying to keep our torso lifted here. So with every exhale, we're releasing a little bit further down, staying really strong. It's a balancing pose, but it's also strengthening our legs and our abs. It's really working a lot of our body, this one. Inhale, exhale, release. Inhale, exhale, release it down. One more, inhale, exhale, release. Inhale, coming up. See if you can keep that foot not on the earth, and release it all the way back. Toes are dialed down towards the ground, into our warrior 3 pose, pushing out a long line from our head to our heel. You can have a micro bend in that standing leg if you need to. And again, option to hold here, other option to place all the fabric in your left hand, bending that right knee and grabbing a hold of the right foot, extending out, or even opening up that hip and extending all the way out. So a few different options here. So coming back to whichever option you've chosen, holding strong. Few more breaths. Inhale and exhale it out. Last one. And a big step back, coming into our high lunge. Checking in, making sure your knee is over that ankle. Holding here, sitting, standing tall. Remembering with every exhale to release a little bit further into that pose. And again, check in with your body. I feel like so often in aerial yoga, we realize we've been clenching onto the hammock for all dear life. But it's there as a prop to help us, not to hold and do all the work for us. 2 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale, release it a little bit further. Inhale. Exhale, release. And let's release that back knee down onto the earth. Flipping that back foot, and we're coming into that low lunge. Again, we're going to flow through the low lunge and the half split. So with your body, with your breath, inhale, exhale, coming into that half split, flexing and pointing that foot if that feels good, and flowing through as you need with your breath. Maybe one side needed one thing. The other side needs a little bit more. So holding in whatever pose you feel you need a little bit more on that side today. Few more breaths here. Flowing through it all. Inhale, exhale. 2 more breaths. Can you release a little bit further? And relax. Last one. Coming into our low lunge, flipping the back toes, coming back into our high lunge, holding here for a moment. Engaging our abs, checking in with the wrists, and release it down. 2 more breaths, staying strong, really working those legs today. Last breath. And inhale, taking a few steps forward with your back leg, hinging those hips, making sure they're in alignment, straightening both of our legs, sitting tall, and exhale, release it forward. Oh yeah. You can add a little sway here if that feels good for you. It's up to you. Trying to keep our chest lifted and our spine long. Few deep breaths. Last one. And let's roll it all the way back up, one vertebrae at a time. Big step forward, and we can release our hands. Okay, so facing our hammock one more time, we're going to bring our left foot into the fabric. So there is an option either at the base of your foot or around your ankle. If you have issues with balance, or maybe your rig is quite small and you find it hard to balance sometimes with it, that's totally fine. Then I would recommend put it around your ankle. So jumping yourself underneath your rigging point will help you with balance as well. Extending that leg out. And we're going to place our left hand onto the fabric. I'm going to open and close that hip. I might jump this way so we can see you a little bit better. So opening and closing the hip, you can come all the way out to the side and crossing the body. I recommend pointing or flexing that foot. Try to keep that leg engaged as much as possible. You can have a standing micro bend in that standing leg. And if you're feeling nice and stable, you can release your hands. Seeing if you can keep your leg as a windshield wiper, so it's the only thing that's moving in your body. So try and stay tall. Oh, it gets a little bit harder when you do that, engaging your abs. A few more breaths. It's creating movement in this hip and this hamstring. It's especially good for us those of us that have been sitting down, especially if you're working from home, sometimes we don't sit as as we should, as ergonomically as we should, especially me. So it's really good to get our hips and hamstrings working. 2 more breaths here. See if you can cross it over your body and come all the way out to the side. And our next inhale, let's come all the way over to the left. Bring our left hand onto the hammock, flipping our right, bringing it up and over our body onto the hammock. And we're pushing with our bottom hand, pulling with our top hand, and creating this really nice stretch along this side. So making sure that you're not facing your body and slumping your body in towards your leg. We're opening out. So it should all be felt along here, along this side. If you would like to turn it into a split stretch, you can push it out into your split if you're feeling it today. We haven't really warmed it up too much, so totally up to you. A few deep breaths here. You can add a little pulse if that feels good for you to keep it a little bit more dynamic. A few more breaths. Really don't forget to breathe in these poses. I feel like some of these standing poses, we just hold on and there's a lot of tense movements and we're not really releasing into it. So our breathing really helps with that. Coming up to standing, if you've been pulsing, release the top hand and bring the fabric out in front of us. I'm going to jump so you can see me a little bit better this way. Inhale, hands to the sky. Exhale, release it down into our hamstring stretch. So you can either do a traditional hamstring stretch, so just releasing over your hamstring, so bring your chest to your knee, or option, especially if you have a lower hammock and you want to pull it up a little bit more, grab a hold of your reins and pull your leg up. So depending where you're holding your reins, it's gonna be a little bit more of a stretch or less. So up to you. A few deep breaths here. If you're in your traditional hamstring stretch, you can add a little pulse forward and back if that feels good for you. A few more breaths. Ooh. I feel like I say this in every class, but hamstrings are not my forte. It's something that I try and put into every one of my classes because they are something that I need to be working on. But we all have our thing. So it's good to be working on the areas that we need it the most. One more breath here. And release it all the way back up. Inhale, hands to the sky. Exhale, we're going to turn facing that leg, the floating leg. Bring your right hand in front of the fabric, so the back of your hand is in front of the fabric. Left hand is out to the side. So you're in a spinal twist. Staying strong, eyes gaze towards your back hand, pushing into the fabric with the back of your right hand. Staying tall. Inhale and exhale. See if you can twist a little bit further with every exhale. Release it out. One more breath here. Inhale and exhale. Coming back to the center. Hands come high up onto the fabric. So the few options here, you can just change your feet, take them out and put it back in, going to our right foot. Or if you want to come with me, it's a little bit more of a fun way to do it. Hands come nice and high. Also working our grip strength with this. Extending our left leg out, bringing our right foot in. So right now my hips are down and we can inhale, pushing our hips to the ceiling, arching our back, add a little back bend. And exhale, release it down. Do 2 more of these. Inhale, pushing up. Exhale, release it down. Inhale, chest to the ceiling. Exhale, release it down. And release your left foot to the earth. Right foot stays in the fabric. It's just a fun way of switching feet and also works our body. So, okay. Keeping our right foot or ankle in the fabric, whatever works best for you. Release it out and we're going to open and close that hip, making sure you're under the rigging point. Sometimes we move around a little bit. So you might find that one leg is a little more flexible than the other. And you can find that one leg might come all the way over to one side. One of your legs may only come just, you may find that there's a little bit of difference between your flexibility of your legs. So opening, closing that hip. A few more breaths here. And again, you can release the hand if you're feeling stable. Standing tall, engaging the abs. A few more breaths here. Inhale and exhale, releasing the right leg out to the side. Hands come onto the fabric, flipping your left palm, bringing it up and over onto the fabric, pushing with your bottom hand, pulling with your top hand, coming into this side stretch. It's a really nice one, especially if you're doing this in the morning or if you've been seated and slumped over a little bit all day. Again, making sure that you're not facing your leg, we're opening up to the side. Option again to push out into your split, if that is feeling accessible to you today. Otherwise, just staying here, and you can add a little pulse if you want to make it a little bit more dynamic. A few more breaths. One more breath. Release a little bit further. And inhale, pulling it up, releasing your right leg to the front. Inhale, hands to the sky, and exhale, release over that foot. I'm gonna keep switching places a little bit so you can see me best. Okay, so release over this foot. Again, option to add in your traditional hamstring stretch or grabbing a hold of your reins, pulling it up so your foot comes a little bit higher. Adding to that stretch. A few more breaths here. You can add a little pulse forward and back if you're in your traditional stretch. A few more breaths. Oh, yeah. Trying to keep as flat back as possible. Reaching our body forward. One more breath here. And inhale, roll it all the way back up. I'm going to jump again. So, releasing it forward. Hands come to the sky. And you're turning your left towards your right side, so your back of your left hand is on the fabric, and your right hand is towards the wall. So coming to this stretch, eyes gazing towards your back hand. Really nice twist stretch. See if you can stretch a little bit further with every exhale. Add a little bit more into that twist. 2 more breaths. Last one, inhale, and exhale, release it back to the front. And you can release that foot. So nice work, guys. That was our standing strengthening and stretching poses. Feel free to add a shavasana to the end of your class. I recommend 5 to 10 minutes if you have it in your time today. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.